What's up everybody, Ben White here. Welcome to Tactical Fellowship. The purpose of today's video is to show you a path forward for a Forsaken 870. It's a budget-minded rebuild that just might have you second guessing that derelict 870 serial number in your house. Before we get to that though, how about you go ahead and stick your thumb up YouTube's anti-gun loving hole by liking and subscribing, and a massive shout out to Brownells, the biggest supporter of the channel. Big thanks for sending me what you did. Be sure to check out the kit page for details on that, link above and below, and let's get back to the video. To Taco Bet, there never has been an 870 that didn't need just a little bit of improvement. All right, so let's get to it. I bought my 870 Express in the year 2009. It was a dirty dog from the very beginning. We're talking the sticky chamber issue, we're talking weak ejection, but it was the first shotgun that I ever bought, so I basically loved it like a firstborn. And it's that 2009 Remington Express that will serve as the base gun for this budget-ish rebuild. Also, when I say budget rebuild, I mean stuff I replaced and stuff I tactically left off. I wanted to add capabilities, not just level up a Trash Panda into like level 2 Trash Panda. So keeping it budget, we have a simple bead sight on this, no red dot sight or mount, saving you big time money. Keeping it budget, we have a Carlson's barrel, not a Van Comp, saving you big time money. Keeping it budget, we have a Streamlight Foregrip, not a Surefire or some sort of M-Lock Frankenstein, saving you big time money. But blowing out the budget, I did put a Woox Buttstock on this because I can't help myself. And with that out of the way, let's head into the build details of this thing. Let's start with the barrel, which is a Carlson's 18.5 870 barrel. Brownells sent me this for testing, which in no way, shape, or form will influence what I have to say about it. You can buy a sight or the bead version. I wanted the bead. Aesthetically, it's cleaner for me, and I wanted to use this also for trap. The barrel comes with an improved cylinder choke, which is perfect for me because, yet again, good for clays, and also that's the tightest constriction you can get and still safely shoot slugs, which I wanted the option to do. I was really excited to see if this would solve this sticky chamber issue that had plagued me since the very beginning with my Express shotgun, and gladly, yes, it did solve that issue for me. The chamber in this barrel is superior. But upon installation of the barrel, I started getting occasional FTLs, which was a mystery to me until I noticed that it lacked any sort of beveled edge on the exterior of the ramp leading into the chamber. I've got a whole video dedicated to how you can improve and fix and overcome an 870 that's not functioning, so be sure to check out that video right above here for a ton of really useful details if you have any issues with failure to loads and an 870.
So good!
Let's talk about the beautiful buttstock. It's Woox's Gladiator buttstock. This thing's just gorgeous, like German hunting lodge gorgeous. The stock is walnut. The extra heft balances the gun better in my estimation. I didn't realize how much I was actually missing the inertia of a real wood stock when I would swing the gun up in the pocket. The cheek piece puts my head a little too high for the bead sight. I'm used to sitting mine a little bit here, but also has a lot to do with the fact that I wear those big goggles, and that also pushes where I want to have my cheek rest a little bit different. So I'm figuring my way forward with that, but there's a sling stud that's on it. It is really a nice touch, but for me, it's on the wrong side of the stock. I prefer my sling stud to be on the outside of the stock so that it pushes a stock closer into me. That right there is really the only miss I have for this stock. On the back of the buttstock, I actually purchased Woox's professional recoil pad. I didn't use any spacers with this. The length of pull felt really good the way that you see it on the gun. And it did delete the bruising that I typically get when shooting a ton of shells. One of the other differences with this recoil pad that I liked is that it doesn't snag on my clothes. Unlike the Hogue buttstock, that would snag and catch repeatedly on my clothes. And so the Woox Professional pad doesn't do that, and I really like that. So this was not an expected piece to put on this build, but I'm glad I did. For the foregrip, I went with a Streamlight TL Racker. Brownells sent me this foregrip for testing on this build, which yet again will not influence anything that I think or say about this foregrip. And I was actually really surprised with how solid it felt. It is way less expensive than the Surefire one. The light has a positive click here on the pressure pad. A click on, turns it on, a click again, turns it off. The potato here in the front actually ends up being a really decent place to grab a hold of and rack back and forth. I think it kind of almost becomes like an angled grip. So if you are keen to want some sort of angled grip for better ergonomics with your hand, this actually is a pretty good solution for you. I also wanted to add a little more capacity, so I went with a Van Comp +2 steel magazine tube extension. It's turned from a solid piece of USA steel. There's no seams or welds to crack or split, and they say that it's rigid enough for you to use this without any sort of supporting barrel clamp. It sits just a touch short on the barrel, which is just what I wanted. It's got some good knurling there. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't take much to unthread this thing. After a couple dozen shots, I noticed that it had backed off some, as you can see by my witness marks on the magazine tube here. So I thought, like, I'll take care of this by putting some like pipe thread on there, plumber's tape. Maybe that'll do it. No, that didn't do it. Then I tried putting some blue Loctite on it. No, that didn't do it either. So I really don't know how to keep this thing super tight on there. I mean, I haven't taken a wrench and ratcheted it on, but if you guys have any tips for how to keep this thing from loosening up, man, send them my way, because I really don't know. The magazine tube does include a stainless steel magazine follower. It's got a hole on the bottom so that you can kind of reach up in there and feel and know that your gun is run dry. It also does come with the reversible sling plate and a extra power wolf spring. One quick note with the sling adapter is that there's a lot of play, and it wiggles back and forth and it smacks my barrel and it makes a ton of noise, and I wish that this thing was really tight up on the barrel. I called customer service, I chatted with them. They have done this so that it fits the majority of barrel profiles out there, but for me it just ends up making a noisy sling adapter. And I'm really not sure how to decrease the noise of this thing if you wanted to be really discreet, if you were like in a special operations environment, which I'm not, because I'm just a dad who shoots guns, but still, like, you banging around, it's not really what I really want. But at the end of the day, it's a great looking tube, and I love having +6. Speaking of extra shells on the gun, the side saddle is by Mesa Tactical. It's their +6. But can I give you a tip? Don't overdo the Loctite when installing this. I accidentally, the first time I put this in, I put way too much Loctite on the screws, and man, I almost stripped the screws trying to get this thing off so I could do some trigger work on this. So just a touch, don't go nuts, and it'll be good for you. I'll also say this too, I've been using this thing for a while, and one of my other inflection points on it is that there's a rubber tube that sits in a channel on the back side of this that kind of produces the friction between the shells and the aluminum holders, and that kind of, over time, the rubber just kind of forms around the shells, and you do lose a bit of the grip strength of that. And some guys have said that they prefer shot cards for this very reason. If they're running a full day course, shells will be flying in and out of aluminum ones that use this friction method because there's just too much action and not enough grab. For me though, this is kind of a home defense gun, and so I just want a handful of shells that are just on the gun. I'm not running this thing all day long, and so within that context, I feel good having the aluminum with the rubber friction being less than perfect on this. But that's something for you to know if you do go this route. And that really brings us to the end of the rebuild journey. I was able to fix some junk, I was able to add some junk, and all the while not crushing my soul with excessive cash flow to get it there. So I hope you enjoyed this journey. Maybe it's given you a couple ideas for what you can do next. To that end, be sure to check out the kit page for all your next steps concerning this build and others. And as always, ride fast, shoot straight, get off the couch and into some tactical fellowship, and we'll see you next time.